Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Kneehill Scoop. My name is Christine. Today we have with us the Manager of Utilities, John McKiernan, and we are going to talk about water waste and what it takes. Welcome here, John.
Hi, thank you very much, Chris.
So can you start by giving our listeners a quick overview of what the utility department does here at Kneehill County?
Sure, you bet. So our utility department is responsible for the environmental services such as water, wastewater, and solid waste within the county. Basically, we ensure that safe, reliable, potable water is delivered and that the hamlet wastewater is collected, treated, and safely disposed of. An important thing to note, though, is the county's utility department doesn't oversee any private wells or private sewage systems. On our solid waste side, we manage the collection of both garbage and recycling at our transfer sites. Operators are responsible for maintaining the various systems that they operate within the specifications as set forth by the provincial and federal regulatory bodies. Such things that are regulated are water quality, wastewater effluent, and acceptable materials that are able to go into that Class 3 landfill. We are also contracted by the Aqua 7 Water Commission to operate and maintain the regional transmission line and the regional pump house and reservoir that supplies the water that we do use here.
Yeah, is that almost all of our systems get fed from Aqua 7?
The majority do, other than 4. Yeah, 2 are groundwater and 2 are from the town.
And so how many water systems, well, we kind of got into this already. How many water systems do we operate and what makes them unique?
So here at the county, we have 13 individual water systems, including the hamlets within Kneehill County. The hamlet of Huxley and the hamlet of Winbourne are 2 groundwater systems. The rest of those systems are surface water systems, either sourced by the town of Drumheller at their treatment plant or the town of Three Hills treatment plant. And any water that is done from the town of Drumheller, except for one system, is basically transmitted through the Aqua 7 regional transmission line. Within those water systems, we have about 900 kilometers of rural water line. The rural water system connects the acreages and the farmers with accessible source of water. I guess that would be something that would be unique, is it's a full flow service. So okay. It's not a trickle feed like rural systems, but ours is full flow and we try to mimic an urban system in the rural system.
Okay, and that's unique for counties?
For the most part, you don't hear too many of those types of systems.
Okay, and so what goes into maintaining reliable water service for rural residents?
Well, there's quite a bit that actually goes into it. Some of the main key points are the infrastructure maintenance. This involves regular inspections, regular maintenance, placement of pipelines, pumps, hydrants, and other mechanical equipment to basically prevent failures, leaks, and service interruptions. Routine operations such as flushing water mains, especially at dead ends. They're usually flushed routinely to maintain water quality and prevent the buildup of debris, as well as routine maintenance. We also have fire, valve, and hydrant management just to basically ensure they're operating correctly in case there's emergencies like main breaks or fires and stuff like that. We need to be able to isolate or have those things operating as they should. We also undertake reservoir management, and this is basically making sure that our reservoirs, our storage tanks of water, are inspected and cleaned, usually every 3 to 5 years. 3 years for groundwater systems just because of the minerals and all that kind of thing can build up a little quicker. Mm-hmm. And usually every 5 years for surface water. So usually we have divers come in. They'll clean out the debris in the bottom of the reservoirs, and then they'll inspect our tank to make sure that it's still operating, nothing's corroding, and possible future problems.
So those big tanks.
Yeah.
They dive into them?
They dive into them.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're underground as well. Yeah. So they do have to go through a process before they go into them because it is drinking water. So they do have to disinfect as they go in, disinfect as they go out. So there is a process to it. So they don't just, not everyone can just dive into it.
Yeah, you can't free dive if you want.
Right. So these guys this is what they do. They have everything in place to do it safely and I guess not contaminating the water as they do it. So.
Wild. I did not know that.
Yeah. Another part of the operations that we do is annual sewer main flushing as well. So this is done just to prevent blockages and, debris being in there so that we have a water sewer main that's flowable for people. Mm-hmm. As well as some other things that we do to maintain this reliable service is system monitoring. So our utility team, we monitor our system continually through pump house inspections, water quality testing, such as like chlorine residuals, bacteriological sampling, THM testing, which is trihalomethanes. So those are all limits that we have to abide by, and we test for it. So we maintain the specifications that are set out. Mm-hmm. All our operators are certified, and they have to be certified through the provincial government, and they must maintain this certification through employment, through continual education.
Okay.
So you can train for it, but you do have to maintain that education.
And that's annually, every year you have to kind of renew?
Every 3 years you renew, but you have to have so many courses within that 3-year period to make sure that you can be renewed again. And initially to become certified, you do have to have time spent as well as challenge exams and that sort of thing to become certified.
And what are some of the most common issues or repairs that your team deals with?
So I guess I don't like saying common because we actually have a newer system. We don't have a lot of common problems, but we do respond to water line breaks, pressure-related issues, frozen water meters. We also have a few new connections to the systems, and then just regular maintenance inside the pump houses. Like we do dose chlorine, to make sure that we have residuals. So that is a chemical, and we do have to make sure that those pumps and injections and stuff are working properly.
So when you say frozen water meters, we've kind of included this, I think, in a few ratepayer newsletters, but how can people prevent their water meter from freezing?
You just need a little bit of heat. So if it's even just like a little light bulb in a room, depending on where your water meter is. Now we have these meter lifts that we have started installing, and those are insulated. If you're in a basement, an enclosed space or something like that, just have the door open, have a small little heater.
Yeah.
If it's like in a well cribbing out in your yard or something, just make sure it's just kind of protected.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of heat source should usually do well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can you explain the process from source to tap? How does water get to our homes and farms?
Sure, I can explain it. It can be very detailed, but I'll do a quick overview. Basically, the first step from source is obviously your source is either a groundwater or a surface water. So you're going to collect or intake that water from those two sources. So that's the first step in it. For example, most of our systems, our surface water systems, it's drawn from the Red Deer River.
Okay.
And from there, the treatment plants, which is either Town of Drumheller or the Town of Three Hills, they'll have a pond. They'll bring that water in. It'll sit there. From that pond, they'll bring into their treatment plant. And the treatment, it goes through multiple steps just to remove the impurities and microorganisms and stuff like that. A conventional system is basically coagulation, sedimentation, filtration, disinfection. Those are kind of the 4 basic steps of treatment. So coagulation and flocculation is the addition of chemicals to basically make small particles, big particles. They gain weight, they become bigger, which is called flock. And then in the sediment area, that flock settles to the bottom of a tank, leaving the water up top kind of more clear, I guess. Then after that, sedimentation, it usually flows through a filtration system. There's many different types of filtration system, but conventional one is basically a sand filtration system. Goes through there. All the impurities are then collected through that filtration system. Like I said, it can get very detailed, so I'll keep it kind of simple.
Yeah.
One of the last steps of it is the disinfection. So that's where chlorine is introduced, ozone, things like that. And that's basically to kill any of the remaining bacteria, viruses, and other kind of disease-causing organisms. From there, it usually goes to, in the treatment plant, what is called a clear well. And that treated water sits there. And then from that clear well, it goes out to the distribution storage reservoirs. You'll either see, like in Three Hills, they have a water tower. Us, we have the, just the stand-up reservoirs and things like that. So that's where from the clear well, it goes to those. And then from those reservoirs, it goes through a network of underground pipes, which is the distribution. And the distribution is what brings it to your taps.
So it's just like a continual process. It's just like always going.
Always going.
And so what's one thing you wish people understood about their water system that they might not?
I guess not so much about the systems in particular, but about water as a resource. It is a resource that needs to be conserved and appreciated. Be mindful of the practice of, water conservation whenever possible. It isn't just our county operator systems, but even the private wells of residents that aren't connected kind of thing. So water, it's a resource and we need to help protect it for the future.
And so during years of drought, does that become a problem taking water from the Red Deer River?
It can be. Now it starts to get into the treatment process where if the water is shallower, then the heat is going in. So now you're creating more organics and things like that. We are regulated through licenses of diversion for how much water we can take and how much has to be left for downstream. So, right now, as far as I know, everything's kind of operating as normal, but... Yeah. But if these drier conditions continue, then we may see some changes.
There's so much to it that you don't think about.
Right.
Moving on to transfer sites and waste services, which you also manage. How do the county's transfer sites operate and what role do they play in managing local waste?
Yeah, our transfer sites are collection points. for the residents to offload their waste and hopefully their convenient times and locations. The waste and recycling is then transported to different facilities for processing. So just as the name says, it's a transfer site. So it's only there for a short period of time and then it's moved along. We do have the Class 3 landfill. That one is a little bit different. That can only accept certain items. The landfill is at a transfer site, but they're different. Our transfer sites are things that come in, we hold for a little bit of time and then are moved on. The Class 3 landfill is a permanent structure, infrastructure that basically is there for the use of the residents to dispose of. Ours is a Class 3, so it's only inert materials. It can only be rubble type. Can't be anything that's organic. We're part of the Drumheller District Solid Waste Association, and they're the ones who coordinate the contracts for the regional waste collection. So those large bins at the sites that everybody puts their household garbage in, they coordinate collection of that. That then goes down to their Drumheller landfill. They also coordinate some of the recycling at our sites as well, such as paint, electronic waste, and things like that. When those are collected, they are then taken to a processing facility as well outside of the county.
And they arrange all that.
They arrange that. There are, maybe we'll touch on this a little bit later, but there is a new program in place in Alberta now. It's called the EPR program. So there are some changes with the way recycling is going to be done and collected and that sort of thing, but through that program.
And so what items can or can't be dropped off at transfer sites?
So each site is a little different. Each site will accept maybe more, maybe less. It's best to maybe check out our website or even call the sites themselves and look into what's acceptable at that certain site. So for an example, Carbon is a small site. It doesn't accept much more than cardboard and household garbage.
Right.
Whereas a site like Linden accepts a whole lot more: scrap metal, electronics, paint, household garbage, tires. They have a burn pit. So sites are different on what they can accept and what they can't accept. Touching on that Class 3 landfill, that is something where non-acceptable materials is actually monitored just because of it's a regulated landfill. So if we have things that are in there that aren't allowed to be in there, then the regulatory body can come down on us. So putting in non-acceptable items in that landfill just creates work where we have to then go back and take that out.
Right.
We have to be very careful on that.
And that's why it's so important for people to sort their garbage when they go to the landfills. Yeah.
That's very important. Sorting the loads is very important because then it allows the attendants to direct them to the different areas in the sites of where to dispose of it.
And so how does Kneehill County handle recycling? Does it stay local or get shipped elsewhere?
We are just a collection site, so it's only collected here, gets picked up, and it's transported to a facility outside of the county, depending on which one it is. And like I said, with this EPR program, there are changes in who is going to be at the receiving end of these recyclables and stuff like that. But basically, it's not kept in the county.
And more about that EPR is kind of coming. It's just on the way.
Right. I guess we're kind of in a bit of a transition period right now with regards to that extended producer's responsibility. And basically what this program is it kind of puts the onus on the producers of this material to basically pay for it.
Right.
Whereas in the past, the municipalities were paying all this material and stuff to be collected, transported, and processed, right? So now the producers are that's going to be their burdens. The EPR program going to be administered by an outfit called Circular Materials.
Okay.
And they're going to be coordinating what gets picked up, where it gets picked up, who it goes to, and that sort of things. So it's changes. And there are certain things. So I know a lot of people, I get calls about glass recycling.
Yes, right.
It's been something where we've never been able to find someone who will take it because there's no end user for it. But under the CPR program, that's one of the mandates from the province is that they're going to have to take.
That is very exciting. I have like 40 pickle jars at home that I need to do something with.
So I don't know when that's going to come in, probably next year, probably in like October-ish. I'm hopeful. That's kind of the word.
Okay.
And then, like I said, EPR, the Circular Materials, they're going to have to find this end user because that's part of their mandate. I'm not sure what the changes will look like in total, but there'll be changes. So.
Yeah, stay tuned for more information about that. It'll be coming. Yeah. Oh, another thing I wanted to ask about recycling is about keeping it clean.
Right. So we don't want to have contaminated recycling. Unfortunately, if there is some contamination in it, then it just goes to the landfill. So the purpose of recycling is mute.
Right.
So if you have a spaghetti can, rinse it out and then put it in the recycling, because once it becomes contaminated, that can contaminate others as well. So now you got a bunch of recycling that might just go to a landfill instead of through the process.
Right. Totally defeats the purpose.
Right.
Yeah. So what's the biggest challenge in keeping transfer sites clean, efficient, and safe?
I think for the most part, our sites are fairly clean. Our attendants do a good job of maintaining that. And so do the residents, right? If they follow the directions and offload where they're supposed to, that's a big key in it, right? So it's kind of a combination of both attendants and residents just kind of doing what they need to do to kind of keep things going. It's always a good idea if you're bringing multiple types of waste to have them sorted. We kind of touched on that a little bit.
Yeah.
If it's sorted, then it's easier to offload into the designated areas, which makes it, a little bit more efficient for yourself while you're there, as well as for the attendants and that sort of thing. So for basically safety, it's probably always a good idea that if you're coming with children or pets, that they stay inside the vehicles.
Right.
Even though the sites, are essentially fairly clean, there still can be nails, screws, anything like that can maybe puncture a shoe and get through and go through their foot, or even for like the animals, like the dogs, into their paws or something like that. So it's always good to maybe keep the children and the animals in the car while you're offloading and stuff like that, and not letting them kind of around the site. As well, for, I guess, the safety is also weather conditions affect our sites. If it's really rainy, some sites become muddy. Access to certain areas might become a little prohibited and stuff like that. So it's you go where you can if it's accessible.
Yeah. And we do put out, like, if it is really muddy, we usually let people know ahead of time, right?
To let people know.
Heads up. Yeah.
And the attendants will also let you know, like, if you're going here, this is pretty muddy back there. So.
Put your 4x4 on. Yeah.
Things like that, yeah.
So have you noticed any trends, like more recycling or changes in what people are throwing away?
Not overly. We aren't there to look at what people are throwing away.
Oh, that's comforting.
That's their choice, right? But I guess in the past year, we did bring in that recycling bin at our transfer site just outside of Three Hills. So it's well used. We do usually about every month and a half or so have to get a new bin brought in. So they're 30-yard bins, so they're quite large. So
nice.
It's been nice to have a place where people can bring it at our site instead of going to other municipalities to get rid of the recycling. So,
and what should residents know about using the sites responsibly? I guess we kind of talked about this already too.
We did, yeah. I guess just listening to the attendants, like they're not there to make your day hard. They're there because there's regulations they have to follow, right? And we're like I said, as a transfer site, we're just collecting the material, but then other people are taking it after that. So they also have what materials can be accepted, what can't be accepted, that sort of thing. So listen to the attendants on unacceptable materials. And I guess also just for using the sites responsibly, kind of touched on a little bit about keeping your pets and children inside the vehicles and stuff. Just, we don't want anybody to get hurt.
Absolutely. So how does Kneehill County keep residents informed of water and transfer site notices?
So we actually have a variety of ways. Probably our main ways are through the webpage, through social media channels. And we also have a program called Notify Me. And Notify Me is a great way because you'll either get a text or an email of something that's happening right now, kind of thing, right to your phone. So if there's a water break or something and it's on the system you're on, you're going to know that right away instead of, being told about it through the grapevine kind of thing. The other ways that we notify, it all depends on, like, if it's a water line break and it's only affecting a few people, we'll actually go to their doors or we'll try to phone them directly and let them know. If it's a larger one, then it just basically goes onto those web page, social media, and Notify Me because it's just too time consuming to drive the distances to let the people individually know. Also, if we're doing projects, major projects like within a hamlet or something, we've also done things like door knockers where we put the information and we actually take it to the doors, or we put in inserts in the utility bills, things like that. So the website's a great page. It has a lot of things on it, like what's acceptable even at our transfer sites, has waterline maps. Like, there's a lot of information on that website. So if you're ever curious, just check that out.
And the Notify Me can be used for our transfer sites as well. They can sign up.
That's right. It's not just limited to water and wastewater and transfer sites. There's even other can sign up for. So it's a great little thing. And you don't have to sign up for everything. No. If you live in the hamlet of Huxley, you can sign up just for the hamlet of Huxley if you want. And you'll never that's the only notifications you'll get.
And even bulk water, like if you are a bulk water customer, you can sign up specifically for that. And I mean, you might get notified of any of our bulk water stations, but still.
And it's good, especially if you're hauling water. The distances between are quite big. So if you know that one is down then you can go a different way to a different site because
Right.
your count will work at every site. Unfortunately, the bulk stations, they'll shut down without really too much notice.
Yeah.
Just because it's based off water reservoir levels.
Right.
Yeah.
So if it gets too low, it just automatically.
It just shuts down.
That makes sense. Awesome. So, before we go, can we talk about holiday hours?
For the holiday hours, if they land on an actual stat holiday, like on a Christmas day,
Yeah.
then yes, the sites will be closed down.
Okay.
For the most part through Christmas, unless they're landing on a stat holiday, we probably won't be closing this transfer sites.
Right. Okay.
They'll still be operational. As well, our water operations through regulatory, you can't go a certain amount of days without testing and stuff. So they have
Right.
that. If there is a stat holiday, we still have on call. So if there is an emergency, you have no water, then it's, call the number and you'll get our on-call person and we'll deal with it. Like
Okay.
we're not, just because it's stat holiday, we don't shut everything down.
Right. No, we can't. We are not allowed. And there is a toll-free number for that as well. It's 1-866-443-5541, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then if it's after hours, you'll get
Dispatch.
dispatch and then they'll send it out to our on-call operator.
Good to know. And then Hamlet Garbage.
Hamlet Garbage, I was just talking with the contractor there not too long ago, and the Hamlet Garbage does fall on a stat holiday.
Okay.
So they'll be doing it the following Monday. So Thursday is the
25th.
25th.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be the following Monday. And then also the next week is New Year's Day
Right.
on the Thursday. So that'll also then fall onto the next Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So over Christmas holidays, basically Hamlet Garbage will be picked up on the Mondays,
Right.
not the Thursdays.
Right.
Okay. Well, I think that's all we have for today. Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm good. Thanks very much.
Absolutely not. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And stay tuned for the next episode of the Kneehill Scoop.